I call to order the meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of River Edge, February 13th, 2025, regular meeting, River Edge Library, 685 Elm Avenue, and Zoom, 7 p.m. Ask everyone to stand for a moment of silent reflection and prayer for all those people throughout the United States, but especially in California, who have experienced so many natural disasters and more to come. Councilman Glass, if you'd lead us in the pledge. It's over here.
Okay. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Statement of compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act. This meeting complies with the Open Public Meeting Act by notification on January 6, 2025 of this location, date, and time to the town news and the record, and by posting of the same on the municipal bulletin board and the borough website, and following notice of the same with the municipal clerk. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Council President Montesano Cohen and Councilwoman Kinsella are absent with prior notice. Councilwoman Mallory. Here. Councilman Benson.
Here.
Councilman Glass.
Here.
Councilwoman Zardalo.
Here.
Mayor Papaleo.
Here. Approval of the minutes. Could I have a motion and second to approve the minutes of the mayor and council regular meeting, January 23rd, 2025?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. So we have a wonderful occasion today. One of our residents, Mary Donahue, is going to be 100 tomorrow, but she has given so much to River Edge, to Bergen County, to the state of New Jersey, that we are honored to recognize her. If Mary could come forward with her entire family. And Sheriff, could I ask the council to please stand? What we're gonna do is we're gonna put Mary right here. Thank you. And if everybody can be behind her, that way you would show up on Zoom.
Back up carefully. There you go.
All right. And could I have the council stand with me? Actually, no, with the camera, you might as well stay. So-
Spirit.
Yes, so Mary, you've done so much for the community. You have been a trailblazer in so many ways. And we are the beneficiaries of so many wonderful things you've done. And so we have a proclamation to honor you on your 100th birthday, which is tomorrow, correct? Correct. Wow, that's wonderful. Okay. Whereas Mary Donahue has been a resident of River Edge since 1952, where she and her husband Gerald raised their 8 children. They were part of the founding parishioners of St. Peter's Parish. And whereas Mary has been blessed with 17 grandchildren, 27 great-grandchildren. Did we get that number correct? All right, good. Whereas Mary will attain the age of 100 on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2025. And whereas Mary's many accomplishments include being an elementary school teacher, elected the first councilwoman in River Edge in 1983, county committee member for more than 50 years, member of the Democratic National Committee and chair of the National Hispanic Caucus. Whereas Mary was a founding member of the River Edge Democratic Club, a longtime parishioner, an elementary school teacher and a CCD teacher at St. Peter's, longstanding member of the River Edge Historic Commission and the Historic Newbridge Landing Commission. She also dedicated 26 years as the head of the language department of the Paramus Catholic High School. Whereas Mary has served the River Edge community with the highest dignity of integrity and professionalism and is an enduring example of all citizens. Whereas, as mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge desires to express its appreciation and recognize you on this date, now therefore be it resolved that I, Thomas Papaleo, as the mayor of River Edge, am proud to issue this proclamation to Mary Donahue to honor her as such an important milestone in her life and join with her family and friends and wish her the happiness and continued good health.
Thank you.
Mary.
Thank you.
Mary, anything you'd like to share? Yeah, we'll give this, actually, would you hand that one over to her? That's easier. Just put that in your lap, Mary. it'll
I
pick up.
remember when we first moved to River Ridge,
Yeah,
that the River Ridge Public Library were two shelves on the police department.
really?
I remember that.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Yeah, there were two shelves,
And this was what year?
1952. So look what we've done in all these years. It's
Yeah.
been wonderful. I think that the library is the heart of the community. And I've been very, very proud to have been of service to the library. And thank you very much for this evening.
Well, could we get a picture with you?
Sure.
Council, if we could stand behind.
Were you a
Oh,
county-
yeah, there are a couple of people who'd like
Weren't
to,
you a county freeholder too?
oh, we didn't, it was left out. We can correct it. You were the first female county freeholder, right?
Yeah.
Not the first.
No, not the first female, just the first female,
Democratic.
Democrat.
First
First Democrat freeholder.
Can we bring that?
Okay.
So I'm gonna correct that and then I'm gonna hand deliver it to your house.
Wonderful.
Also a candidate for state senate, right, Mary?
Yes.
Were you a candidate for state
Yeah.
senate, Mom?
Yes, I was.
Okay,
Correct.
well, we'll add that. Mel,
Good
could
thing
you do
Mel
me a
came.
favor? Could you send me an email with any of those things that you think we left out? Because I
I'll
would
send
like
it to
to.
Marie, she'll do it.
Okay, good. That'd be great. Is there anybody who'd like to say a few words about Mary before we take a picture and move on?
Mary is an exceptional person. And she has lived a good life, good and true life, an honest person of integrity, kindness, devotion to her community and to her family, and an all-around good skate.
Thank you, John.
Everyone kind of sneaks in over there, council too. We'll get a picture and we'll take that picture.
I think we
first.
should go first.
I think they want my camera.
We-
You'll take it?
Well, let's. You come with them.
Oh, there it is, yes.
We get out of the way, we'll have to take a picture and we'll come back in. Is that all right? We'll take a picture of them. I'll take a picture of you guys.
Maybe two portraits, no, two landscapes. Okay.
You want me to take it so she can get in?
No.
Could you give her a confirmation?
Yes,
Okay, good.
and we'll fix it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just wanted to share that with my children.
Thank you.
Let's, would you put that there? All right, here we go. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Everybody close in?
Yeah, take this away. Take this away.
Take this away, absolutely.
That's not on.
I would edit it out anyway, Mary.
Okay, everybody. Great.
Thank you.
Then can the
Two.
family
Yeah,
get behind?
yes, please.
All right.
Cool. And we'll take a few more pictures.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
an
you so
honor
much.
too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, family back in.
My family.
There we go.
All right, I'll stay with you guys.
1, 2, 3, cheese.
Cheese,
Oh, no, you turn your head. You gotta do it again. 1, 2, 3, cheese.
cheese.
Good.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome,
Thank you
Mary.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the lovely,
That
lovely.
was very sweet.
No,
thank you very much.
I'm gonna take a picture of this too.
Yes.
Send it.
And we'll fix it and I'll drop it off. Sorry we left off the
Oh,
little.
don't be. That's fine.
Mayor, thank you very much.
All right, Mom, we do need to.
And council members, thank you very
Thank you
much.
everyone for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Drive safely.
Thank you.
Busy week.
Appreciate you.
The entire family is coming in, every single.
Wow, that's awesome.
Hasn't happened in years. Like every 27, this little people can be here. We're gonna.
I'm just gonna pull that chair over
Is that a
here.
bad spot?
Yeah, no, she.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very
Good
much.
luck.
Mel. All right, thanks again.
Which on the roof? Yeah.
Okay, our first order of business is reassessment update. Mr. Anzavino, we appreciate you being here with us tonight. Mayor Anzavino, he is both our tax assessor and title I got right, correct?
That's correct.
And the mayor of South Hackensack? Yes, so Mayor, thank you for being here and thank you for being our tax assessor. If you could, take it away.
Oh, first of all, thank you very much. I don't know how much you're gonna thank me after the news I gotta give you, but first of all, South Hackensack's a small town. We rotate the mayor every year. So all the trouble that I'm gonna cause this year, I'm gonna pass along to the next person. But, on a personal note, I remember Mrs. Donahue from when she was a freeholder at the time, well, freeholders, and she was so warming and caring to all the people of Bergen County. She would take all of us younger guys in and kind of nurture us. So I think what the mayor and council did was very nice, and I'm sure her and her family appreciate it. So it was nice to be a part of that.
Yes.
But now, just a quick update. I just want to thank you all for the time to present this. I wish I was able to be there in person, but I have a council meeting of my own in a little while. Well, the reassessment is just about complete. We are at the stage where we're ready to send out the letters, and we're looking to mail them tomorrow. And with the holiday, I'm sure the residents won't get them till Tuesday. Now, the letter is going to inform every property owner of what their new assessment is. And I believe I handed you 2 pieces of paper, and you'll see the sample letter. It starts with appraisal systems at the top. And it's very much of a basic letter, but it'll give you your 25 assessment, and it'll also give you an estimate of what the taxes will be based on the 24 budget. Now, we know it's not going to be that, but just to give you kind of like an even playing field so you know exactly what the impact of the reassessment is. So what I strongly encourage every resident to do is after they get this, they could go on their website, Appraisal Systems website, which is clearly listed, and call and have them review the tax record with them. The one bad thing is we only got into about 3/4 of the homes, about 75% of the homes, which is kind of low. Usually we try and hit about 90%, but we didn't get into as many as we would like. Now, the other piece of paper in front of you is a worksheet, and it starts at the titles of the River Edge. So basically, I'm going to give you a little background information and interrupt me anytime you want. Our current tax rate is $3.96, 3.965 to be exact. That was the current rate for 2024. Now, 2025, it's going to start at $2.31 before there's a budget increase. So now, obviously, everybody wants to know, how did I fare in taxes? So in the whole town, we had roughly 57% of the residents are going to receive a reduction. That's roughly 1,846 residents. There's 91 properties that are what we call tax neutral. That's between $0 and $100. So they're right there. There's 1,200, almost 1,300 properties, 1,287. That's 39.9% are going to receive an increase over $100. Now, if we go further down that sheet, you'll see properties with tax increase breakdown. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, so between 100, now again, between 0 and 100 is 91 residents. Between 100 and 250 is 113 residents. Between 250 and 500, it's 194. So that's about 23%, 24% right there. The part that's a little concerning is there's 300 residents that are going to have an increase between 500 and 1,000, 506 residents between 1,000 and 2,500, and 103 residents above 2,500. Now, I kind of think everybody's okay if they have an increase less than $300. Not that they like it, but it's palatable. And there's reasons for it. The reasons are basically, you'll see it a little highlighted where it's.
Mr. Antonino, I just want to stop for a second. One of the things I want in this presentation for the public to understand is that there is no new tax dollars.
Yes.
So, and this is very important for people to understand, whether you got an increase or a decrease, correct me if I'm mistaken. Uh, uh, in this kind of initial letter, it does not mean an extra penny went to the borough. Our budget was struck. This is simply making the overall tax assessment fair for everyone, because everyone is brought up to their true property value.
Mayor, you stole my thunder. That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's, we bring every property to market value, which what we call is 100%. Now, out of that number, the borough does not collect 1 penny more. As you know, the tax rate is a small portion is based for the borough expenses. Then you have your local school, your regional school, and your county taxes. So whatever that has to be raised, whatever number amount that is, we're not raising any more money. We're just raising the amount of money needed to run the governments.
And that's why I wanted to interrupt you there, because we were talking about an increase. This is simply someone being brought up to their actual value
Yes.
compared to their next door neighbor, people down the block, and the people on the other side of town. So that
You
now
know-
everyone's paying their fair share, when at some time, due to maybe a renovation or something like that, they were not properly assessed, so they weren't paying the full value that their neighbors were. Is
Well,
that-
exactly. There's a couple of examples I could give. One is, the last reassessment we had was 13 years ago. So assume somebody took an appeal during that time. Neighbor A takes an appeal. 2 homes are identical. Neighbor A's house goes from 300,000 to 250,000. Neighbor B doesn't do anything, just because they don't know or they're not aware. Well, now let's say that house goes to 400,000. Well, neighbor B is going from 300,000 to 400,000. Neighbor A is going from 250 to 400,000. So neighbor A's, the one who went up more is gonna say, wait a minute, my taxes were less than my neighbor's. Yeah, but you filed an appeal which kind of lowered yours, and now we had to correct it. And that's one of the things about the annual reassessment. We're gonna constantly be making adjustments to make sure that everybody's fair and equal during the term of the process. I should indicate, on average, there's about $111 reduction. The average, here, this is kind of stunning. The average assessment in 2024 was $397,200. But again, that wasn't at market value. Now, the average assessment for this year for residential homes is $674,700. So if that home was assessed at $397 and went to $674, you're saving $111. $110.92 to be exact. So, and again, majority of properties are going down. 57% are going to see a reduction. But I'm always concerned about the increase. So what would the
Yes.
increase be? It could be somebody filed an appeal. It could be somebody did a renovation. Now, I don't know if many of you are aware of it, but if you take a permit out for kitchen improvements or bath improvements, you don't always have to take a permit out for that, as long as it doesn't allow changing gas or water. So a lot of people may have updated their kitchens and their bathrooms, renovations, without getting permits. Therefore, we won't know about it, so we're unable to assess it. So you'll see additions, appeals. The other big part, and again, it's 25% of the home. If we didn't get into the house, if the inspectors were unable to get into the house, they're automatically going to assume that the bathrooms are updated, and the kitchen is renovated, and you probably have a finished basement, depending what type of house. That's doesn't bode well for the homeowner. So when they originally started, about 2 months ago, we sent out a letter to all the homes we did not get into. It was more than 25% at that time, encouraging everybody, let the property owners in, let the inspectors in. There's a lot of people that talk and they think, don't let them in this way. They won't assess you if they don't see what you have. No, that's not the right answer. Let them in so they could give you an accurate assessment. I
No,
believe,
let me interrupt you there just to underline that point, and especially for those who might be watching this YouTube video later on this week or next week or to come. So by law, if I understand it correctly, the inspectors had to assume that the most modern and the highest number of
value.
value is in there, so you actually do not help yourself by keeping them out. You hurt yourself because the law is very clear that the assessor must assume that the house is in pristine condition and therefore has to be taxed at the highest value.
Mayor, their guidelines are to the highest possible use the property could be in the neighborhood. So that pretty much says it all. But if you think we have 3,200 homes roughly, and we got into 75% of the homes, that's 800 homes that the assessments, we can't confirm that the assessments are totally accurate. It's kind of ironic because we got about 831 properties that went up over $500, between $500 and $2,500. The rest, I'm sure, are all new homes or new additions because they take this before the added assessments were put on. So if somebody put a house on that was just completed in 2024, we go from the beginning of 2024. That's how we measure January 124 to January 125. So I believe we're going to get a lot of people coming into the hearings once they see their value. I'm hoping. What I'm not hoping for is they ignore it. Come when they get their tax bill, what went wrong? Well, we have you for 2 bathrooms and you only have 1. How are we supposed to know? Well, can you correct it and I'll get my money back? No, after May 1st, there's no way we can make any changes to the book. That's the problem. It's not a retroactive thing.
So
So-
what's important being said here is that when they get the letter, they have until May 1st to ask for an appeal.
Well, the appeals have to be in by May 1st, but the first thing that they'll do, and the reassessment company is wonderful, they're going to set up hearings. So on the letter, it says a number to call to review your assessment. They'll review your assessment with you in person, or you can do a virtual. If anybody wants to write it down, the number's 201-493-8530. And a lot of people do the hearings virtually. I won't suggest just a telephone call because, you're not seeing the person, I would say do it virtually or have the person meet with you one-on-one. And if they don't get into the home, they will send another inspector out right away. We have to have this into the county by May 1st. That's when the book closes. So, and if we have more hearings, that's not a problem because we have up until by March 1st, we have to have this into the county. By May 1st, we can change any assessment and we could do it through an assessor's correction. But if somebody comes May 2nd, there's not a lot we can do. There's
Okay.
absolutely nothing. The one thing I will encourage everybody to do when the neighbors come to you and you're going to get phone calls, I'm going to get phone calls, give them my number and give them appraisal systems number. Most important, appraisal systems. I'll explain to them the whole process, just what I went through with you. But appraisal systems are the ones that ultimately make the recommendation to the town. And my cell phone number, you may or may not have it, it's 201-906-2469. The more people we could reach before this goes in, the better off we are. Again, I'm worried about that 25%.
I don't blame you. I also see that the letter says that if they want to schedule, they can also do it online, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they
Yes.
can either call Monday through Friday from 10 to 4 to schedule for an assessor to come in, or they can schedule it online.
Yes. I always forget that part. I'm still a dinosaur,
And they get a login and a password on their letter. So they
Yes.
should hold on to that.
Oh, yes. And, all in all, I really think you're going to see that number go down of people that went up. I think you're going to
I
see
hope
it.
so. I hope people take to heart what you've said and that those 800 or so residents who did not or could not allow an assessor to in, that they do that before May 1st so that they get a fair and just assessment.
Same here. Now, next year when we do phase two, those 800 homes will be the first ones we go to re-inspect again. Just to make
Okay.
sure we get it right, so.
Excellent. Any member of council have a question for Mr. Anzavino?
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi, thank you for taking us through this. It's very helpful. I just have a quick question, and my apologies if you explained this before. Where do you get the assessed values for this year? Do you use some tool?
Great question. We use the market data. I should have mentioned this and I'm sorry.
Probably because I kept cutting you off.
Well, Mayor, you gave me more information and I was taking a lesson from you. We take all the sales from 23 and 24. The assessment date is October 1 of 24. In other words, sales up to that date is what we use to value. Now we price out the homes according to our New Jersey State Appraisal Manual. And every home is done according to that standard. The land is done from, basically, they take the sales of homes, you divide the town up into neighborhoods. And from there, you'll say, okay, neighborhood 1. The house sold for, make it easy, 150,000. The house is worth 50,000. Therefore, that lot is worth 100,000. It's called the land residual technique. So everything we do comes from the market data. Now, for the commercial properties, we use a blended market data, the sales prices, but we also use the income approach. The courts hold that the income approach is the most reliable source for value income producing properties. So that's kind of how we rebuild it. And for the homes, we use the sales, again, direct sales, and what it costs to rebuild a house. And if you go on the website, ASINJ, you'll see it has a list of all the sales and has a list of everybody's assessment in town.
Thank you. So, so Zillow, right? Zillow is the standard that a lot of people go look at to see how much is my home worth. Do you follow the same methodology, very different methodologies?
I don't know what Zillow does, but I could tell you Zillow is not that accurate. For higher or lower. I mean, I'll give you an example. My mother, when she passed away, we, just went on Zillow to see what it was worth just for, kicks. They had her as a one-family home and the property was wrong. So I'm not sure where they get. I think they just say, okay, this house sold over here. It's X number of square feet. So that must be worth that over there. Zillow is a ballpark number though. So it's never a bad thing to, if somebody comes in and says, gee, my house is assessed at $500,000, but if Zillow says it's worth $500,000, I wouldn't exactly believe it, just.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Another quick question. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure.
It says that we have one farm, but it has a value of 0. And it says that we have 2 industrial properties. I'm wondering what qualified for that category. And just some commentary, I'm encouraged to see, I guess, that the assessed value of the commercial properties and the multi-dwelling units in the borough increased significantly. The total value, assessed value of commercial properties increased, it looks like almost 80% year over year.
Yes, you'll see the commercial properties increased a little. If you look all the way to the right, you'll see the shift. They went up 0.002 and the apartment buildings went up 0.005. And if you look at the second one, the residentials actually went down slightly compared to the last reassessment. Now, let me explain the categories. Class 1 is vacant, 2 is residential, 1 and 2 families. 3A and 3B are farms. I'm not sure why they're showing 1 because I know we don't have a farmland. Those 2 industrial properties, those are the ones, I think it's the one by the river. And I believe there's one over on the other side, closer to Hackensack.
Yes.
So, and we do have a total of 141 commercials. I think the biggest increase you'll see here is, well, the regular commercial, but look at your apartments, went from like roughly 91 million to 167 million. So the commercials were quite an increase. But your
Yeah, but
homes, what,
that's a smaller percent increase than the assessed value of the residential properties. The
Yes.
multi-dwelling, yeah, okay,
yes,
all right.
but they still had a little slight shift towards them where the residential shifts on average went down. You know, so it's going to be, I think the commercials came in very well. The new apartment buildings are very, look, there's two types of apartment buildings. You got like the ones that are brand new on Kindercrack Road, those little apartments. They came in very well. They're doing very well. Their income stream is very high. Then you got the garden apartments, which are stable. You know, they do okay. They do good. The rents have increased. But some of these newer apartment buildings, like they're building in Hackensack, like a 2-bedroom by the old record site is, I believe it's $4,300 a month rent for a 2-bedroom, plus $150 per car if you want to have it covered. If you want to park in a general lot, it's free. We don't have any of the apartment buildings in that, that type, But so for what we had, which, I'm going to say they're older, other than the new one on Kindercrack Road, you're basically dealing with older apartment buildings, 50 years old, and they don't have that same revenue stream that the newer ones will have.
And condominiums, do you consider those a single or
One
two
family
dwelling?
home, one
Okay.
family.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
No.
And
Anyone else? Question or comment? Mr. Enzavino, a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. You and I spoke earlier today. I think you might be coming back again,
sure,
right? We'll coordinate that through our business administrator, just in case we have the public are having a lot of questions. It may be good if you're available in a couple of meetings.
And Mayor, if you want to meet with the public on a Saturday or Sunday, I'm available. Sometimes it's good to give everybody the opportunity, like on a special day, so everybody's there. But I think the most important thing is let everyone know the letters are coming. Tell them don't answer the questions. And I'm not trying to say be mean, but just say, please, at this stage, we're not done with the job yet. That's why we're asking for your input to make sure everything's correct. Please let us know. We'll make sure it's correct.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you.
No, thank you. And have a good night, everybody. Have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. NV5.
Yes. We have here from NV5 are Rachel Lapalia, Seema Chandane, and Will Garrow. This is the firm that is looking into the DPW complex, namely to rebuild the salt shed that is past its lifespan, as well as building a new mechanics bay because of the size of the fleet being able to be repaired in the current DPW facility and possibly that actual DPW facility itself.
This is for design and engineering services, not building, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It is a very.
Jason, why don't you come
preliminary.
up to pull a chair? Let's see if we can't get forward there. Jason, you can move those packets. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that?
You might want to just move the mic more center.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I appreciate you guys taking this time to let us introduce ourselves with NV5 and present our qualifications to you. Again, my name is Rachel Lapala. I am the Director of Architecture at NV5. With me, I have the Senior Project Manager, Seema Chandane, Architecture at NV5. And with me, I have Principal Engineer Will Barrow, Site Civil, and then NV5.
And for the public's, our Superintendent of Public Works, Jason Melito is sitting with them as the overall head of all construction, well, maintenance and construction in town. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to briefly go through our qualifications packet, which we have put together for you guys to review and go through at your leisure, but I just wanted to do a brief introduction of that this package is been tailored just as specific as it's related to the instructions for Mr. Melita as he's requested. When he originally reached out to MV5 in December of 2024, indicating that he was looking for architecture and engineering services for design and construction for a replacement of their existing salt shed structure and maintenance structures. So as a whole, MV5 has been in business for 50 years. We have multiple offices across the country. Closely, or we have a office in Parsippany, New Jersey, which is where we all are local to. We have other offices that are located in Connecticut and Philadelphia, New York area as well. You can read about our qualifications and experience, but our disciplines that we have include site civil engineering, architectural construction services, utility engineering, structural engineering, landscape architecture, environmental engineering and permitting, drainage floor design, water resources and H&H, site remediation and hazmat materials testing, underground storage tanks, ecology and special endangered species studies, lead and asbestos evaluation and remediation, cultural resources and archaeology, and we do sustainable and LEED certification projects as well. So that's just a broad overscope of the offer that we have for any architectural engineering services. But more specifically, I wanted to discuss projects that we have done in the past that would be relative to and currently are working on for what specifically we've been asked to look at for DPW. So that being said, we've worked on a variety of salt shed structures and maintenance buildings across different agencies, including NJDOT. And we've actually been spearheaded tasked with coming up with the prototype for their salt shed structure at 9 sites. We've worked on 5 Turnpike Authority maintenance yard facilities, and we worked across a variety of higher education and park atmosphere maintenance infrastructures. Some of those are listed in here, but if you look for additional qualifications or any project specific information, we can provide additional at that. Again, some of these structures on these sites include salt shed structures, material maintenance buildings, material brew buildings, material storage buildings, vehicle storage buildings, fuel island facilities, emergency standby generators. We've also included site utilities, geotechnical investigation on past projects, lighting analysis and design, stormwater management, and regulatory and agency permitting. I keep reading through everything, but
We can read it.
I think you don't need to read it.
No.
So that being said, again, it's just to give an example, some of these projects you could, if you want to turn to page, let's see here, 7, 8. They list out a numerous listing of NJDOT projects that have similar structures that what you have over at your DPW themselves. The capacities of these salt shed structures range from 80,000 or 10,000 tons to 800,000 tons. So we have very small salt shed structures to very large projects across the state. And I think what we've come up to a capacity of about 1,000. So very manageable for your site.
So just for the public, we have 1,000-ton salt shed.
Right now, we have a 500 that we're looking to bring up to 1,000 to remove our temporary storage sheds that are no longer going to be allowed on our permit.
Because of EPA?
Yeah, the new DEP regulations.
DEP.
If I can, I probably should have started off with this a little more. If I could just bring light to what we're trying to accomplish here. In the last 5 years, our salt shed has been falling apart, okay? We've been patching it and pretty much it's on its last leg now. there's nowhere to go. Last year, we started funding engineering, started funding the project for professional services. During the planning and during talking to numerous past and present council members, we were trying to look also how we can maximize the space. To move our mechanics over there to, I guess, a building that's more up to today's standards for the chemicals and materials they're using. In turn, that would help us also get vehicles more inside of our old building, so they're not sitting outside. During this process, I've visited for the last 2 years, probably 4 or 5, probably around 7 locations, whether it's NV5 that did it or other architectural firms. They're all brand new locations, so I asked them, you know, who did it, how did they do it, what the time frame was, budgeting, you know, did they meet the qualifications or criteria that you guys set forth? And the one name that came to mind was NV5. Everybody kept saying from the DOT yard up in Wantage to the Secaucus yard, municipal Secaucus yard, that they've come in on time and on budget on everything. They're very on top of everything. They don't go out to bid unless it's all ready to go and it hasn't been looked at 4 or 5 times. You won't have a problem with change orders, as we all know what that's about. And pretty much they will make sure, you know, we are all notified on situations of problems. So it was the only firm that I got a full 100% approval from all those other pretty much entities.
Okay. So you've done your due diligence and that's why they're in front of us today.
Yes.
Cool.
We've also met with them and Rob Costa, who will be the site engineer for this project, who's already started on the application. Again, this project will go on the size that the DEP allows us. Right now, we are in a floodplain or flood zone. So there's a lot of permitting that has to go on, a lot of approvals to see if we can get or not get. So they're working on that side. We've had meetings with Rob and NV5 together. Will is also a civil engineer, which will be assisting in any way that, you know, we need him, obviously, to assist Rob or anything on the environmental side or any of that, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that's why Will's also, so they're a little bit of everything and that will be assisted.
Cool. Continue.
You stole my thunder, Jason. But no one can steal the thunder like Mary, apparently. To add to what Jason was saying, that was my comment next was a lot of these projects, because we do have the capabilities to take what we've had lessons learned and apply them to the next project. We've had successfully done 75 to 80% of these projects with less than 10 change orders. As we've had a couple with, as Jason said, 2 change orders, and it's so small that it's a minuscule cost at best. The team that we utilize for these projects is the same throughout the design and construction, so that there is the same continuity throughout the projects. And I think that's one of the big things that sets us apart from other AE firms is usually there's a handoff period between design, bid, and construction. We work hand in hand with one project, maybe run through one senior project manager and a next, and we have checks and balances back and forth. My role also includes QA/QC manager on all projects that comes out of the office and the architecture department. So I will be always overseeing anything that does go out the door as the last step prior to going bid. As Jason said, we've had multiple projects that have come in on time. With especially this period of time where there's uncertainty with long lead items, with issues of change orders for increased escalation of prices. We've helped try to mitigate some of these problems by having what have we learned in the past and how can we make sure we identify to the client ahead of time. This might be something to spearhead in eventuality of the construction of the project. What else?
What's
Is
your
there any
ownership?
questions?
Tell us about your ownership. I know you've been making a lot of acquisitions, right?
That unfortunately, I cannot answer, ownership of the company.
We're
publicly traded.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. There's acquisitions every other day, so I find out sometimes
Yeah.
we bought another,
I see
a
that.
company.
Just so you guys know, I manage the Northeast for TRC,
Okay,
most of the Northeast for TRC.
What's the RCF?
But
What's the RCF?
it's one of the biggest global engineering firms in the world.
Okay,
So you also know this year in my budget, to be able to afford all this, I am asking for professional services. I did put money into the capital this year to move forward with this. I did notify NV5, so you all know if this council does decide to go with them, that they would have to wait for everything, sign everything until the budget is approved and adopted. And any questions, obviously, from here to the budget are ratified to the council, asked to the council and answered.
In our packet, there was a drawing of Salt Shed, Mechanic Bay 1, Mechanic Bay 2. Are you going to be addressing that now, or is this just an introduction to NV5?
So this is really an introduction to NV5 because we have to see where the permitting allows us to go. We don't know what the DEP size of the building they're gonna allow us to build in a flood zone or any of that information at this point.
Okay.
We really have to see what comes back before we can really,
And when might we hear from them?
that's all depending on Rob and how fast DEP looks at it and gets back to us before we can put it in.
Okay. Any members from council? Any council members wish to ask a question?
So you don't have any in-house geotechnical? You have to, you
do.
subcontract MEP though?
so we do
You
have
know-
MEP
okay.
in-house. But what I wanted to highlight here is that for, again, the depth and breadth of projects, we try to use more local engineers sometimes for projects for this type of atmosphere. In one of the projects that we are utilizing our New York MEP. So there is no MEP that's on this project that's been partnered on all of the past projects. So we thought it was best to use whom we've been working with. We've been partnering with our two consultants on these infrastructure projects for the last 5-10 years. And we've been partnering with these
The
consultants
lowering is that, lowerings you have to go to for? MEP?
for local projects, yeah.
Okay, and what about, so you said you have geotechnical in-house? Yeah, I
Correct.
see it. But structural, you also,
So-
you would sub that out?
Correct.
Similar
So
basis.
the structural engineer PBA, we have been working with for 40 years. They have worked on every single project in this packet with us successfully.
Where are they
Um,
based?
Fairfield.
Okay.
We do have structural engineering also in-house in Parsippany. They more do bridges. We do have building structural engineering in NV5 corporate. They're more located in New York and in North Carolina right now. Again, I keep hearing about new acquisitions, so that might change. I think they're trying to get more into the Northeast, but again, as we said, that we wanted to put our best team for you for this project,
But site civil, you have full capability, site civil?
correct?
Just so you also know, Rob was also brought into this project because he did start, if you remember all the permitting down there, KBG Fields and everything else. So there is still an open permit on that he's working on.
Yeah,
So,
but, okay, for us to submit an application, we need a concept level design. Right?
We've forwarded him
yeah,
a layout,
they started.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Like a
Okay.
quick.
a quick concept layout for him to DP.
Just so we're all on the same page, we've already had a meeting with the DEP, with NV5 and Rob
Okay.
in the room, Costa Engineering, to go over what they're looking for to get a hardship waiver at this point, because we are in a flood zone.
Okay.
Pretty much he's working on that, and NV5 will give him any of the information or assist him in anything he might need.
I know you just explained that you sub out structural typically on this type of project. So maybe this isn't a fair question, but would these structures need to be on piles? Maybe that's a question as well.
I mean, it's an option, it's a more expensive option. So,
We don't know that, we don't know that at this point.
yeah,
So that
and
would be the reason for the geotech, because they'll be able to look at the soil engineering and the borings and give, and from there, we make the determination if it's piles or mat footings or you know, a slab on grade, that's a thickened slab, so that's the reason
So
for,
you would sub that? That type of, oh, no, you would
No,
do, you would do
geotech-
foundation recommendations in-house?
correct.
Okay,
So we would ask to do, again, this would be, in how we looked at the project is the first would be making sure that feasibility wise DEP allows the structure to be accomplished. Secondly would be what is feasible for the site. So that would include any soils engineering, any geotechnical information, any hazmat information, like if there is any issues with some connections to the existing salt shed structure itself. Get all of the information up front so that we can have an assessment report written on, okay, this is the type of soils that are there, and then go to structural engineering and start coordinating. And what kind of hazmat might be included towards this project.
okay. Would any type of environmental investigation be required?
Yes,
It would be.
that would be part of an investigation
Okay.
phase.
Yeah.
So for worker safety, it would be important to make sure that any removal of a structure, any soils removed from the site would need to be tested.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you so
and
much.
Thank you for your materials. And Jason will continue to coordinate and appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Jason, you can stay. Yes.
You guys.
Okay, in the plans, you should have all gotten a look at, the dais. This, Jason only gave you one option, but he's gonna speak to two. Jason, if you would. Now, before we begin, so we have decided that we're not going to have HNAS redo the dais. We're going to do that later. And what we're looking towards is July.
Yes.
When the council only has one meeting. And after that one meeting in July, that's when the construction begin. So, and the dais would be refurbished at that time. So when we return to the building end of March, beginning of April, we're gonna be at the old dais. It's in a little shabby condition, but you know, that's the way it goes. And then, that will be done also around the same time that we're doing the ADA compliance along Tenny. That construction that's going to gut the side and bring us up to ADA compliance. And so those things will be happening simultaneously, and Costa Associates will be leading in that, okay? Jason, if you could speak to the dais.
So the dais, I looked at the dais and we were trying to figure out what the max we can fit on it at this, with the size of the room. As you know, that room is narrow and it pretty much has a ramp that comes from one door to the flat.
I know I did this all the time, but I want to put context, especially for the people at home. The reason we want to maximize the dais is because it's not simply used for the council.
Right,
It's used for land use. And land use has 9 members with 2 alternates,
16 total.
and then you have all the professionals.
Yeah.
So we need to build it not just for the council, even though it's called council chamber. We need for it to serve multiple purposes. Also, other commissions and committees meet in there, so we're trying to make it more functional.
Correct, Mayor. So the only way that the dais would work is the style that it's at now, the U. We tried to do straights, but it just won't work with the way the doors offset from the floor to the door going to the police department. We got about a foot drop there. So with the ramps and everything that had to be put in, for the egress, we wouldn't be able to run the dais straight, so you have one behind the other. So it had to stay the way that it is now with the horseshoe. What we looked at is obviously, the right side where the clerk always sits, there was a table there. So we're looking to bring that out 6 feet on that side, and then the opposite side on the Tenny Road side, the left side, we have an ADA ramp. There's 2 ways or 3 ways we can go. We can leave it the way it is now with nothing there. Put 1 seat there, so the ramp is in between the windows, so you don't see it from the outside. Or you could put another 6-foot extension on that side with the ramp going off. So you can fit a maximum of 13 people up on the dais. That is the max. There's no other way I can try to get any more in that location. Now there's 2 theories we can go. We can either refurbish what's there and just do an add-on. That means keeping the countertops and just refurbishing the whole look and extending the daises. Or we can just redo the whole dais so everything matches. Now, there is a price difference. It's not that extreme. It goes from anywhere between 15 to 20 grand just on a refurb to 36,000 on a brand new dais. So I guess the question is for this council is, obviously, we're gonna extend the one side, the 6-foot side, where the clerk sits. We just need to know if you want us to, what extent do you want to extend the Tenny Ave side? And what extent do you want, how far does this council want to go with the dais? Do you want to just do it as a refurb? That'll be a little cheaper, or do you want to go with the full nuts and bolts?
Well, yeah, so.
Yeah, I'm
So let's, Jason, only for the benefit of the council, Jason and I've had some conversations. I've actually gone up there and talked about it. The dais, the issue, as Jason brought up, is the ramp to make it ADA compliant, okay? So right now, whoever sits, if this was the dais, Pretty would be sitting in the far right seat, facing out, stage right. Okay, there is a ramp going down. Okay, now if we extended 3 feet, we have to push the ramp out 3 feet. If we extended 6 feet, we have to stick the ramp out 6 feet. The ramp is 6. Okay, so and of course that means no chairs to the far right where the windows are. So the question, I think, to organize a little bit better is, we're going to leave stage left, which is where Claudiana is, that we're gonna extend 6 feet. So do we want to add symmetry and do another 6 on the right? Or do we want to pull it back a little bit to just 3, or not at all? After having a lot of conversations with Jason, I'm inclined to say either the 3 or the 6 extension. Because if we're gonna do it, we should do it. Also, after a long conversation, I think it might be better for an extra $10,000 for a dais that's gonna last us 20 years, just to pay that amount. But those are just my thoughts, and I've had lots of time to think about it. You have not, so it's your time to ask Jason questions.
How many people can we seat without the extensions?
9 right now, and the problem is we added a ramp because there was just a step up. That wasn't it wasn't, so now you've lost where they used to put the table. Because you can't put the seats where the seats used to be. So the best idea would be extended. Now, I would personally just go 3 feet on the one side, just do 1 seat. So the ramp is in between the windows. Because you're gonna have to put a railing as well, which we're already getting. So it would look more symmetrical. Instead of pulling 2 more seats in and the ramp all the way out where the railing will be halfway out until where the people sit. on the
This is
one
in
side.
addition to the clerk side, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The clerk side's already, I
Yeah.
would say just extend that to
Right,
6
right.
feet. That's
Okay.
already.
Yep.
Done. I think the biggest factor is, do you do it all the way or do you do it halfway? I think that's what it is.
Will it affect, if we extend 6 feet with the ramp, the number of seats for the public?
Yes, yes, that's why. Yes, but we've lost seats in that one row. We haven't been putting them up unless we're really packed. Those seats have been gone because to walk from that room or to walk from that door to the door behind the dais, those seats are sort of in the way with the ramp, so you gotta always kick around them as it is now. We've actually set it up as a test to see where the ramp, how it would fall. So that's why I'm also pitching 3 feet, because you're bringing that ramp back and then you can actually have, I believe it was 3 rows on that side.
We're keeping what was there, right? We're not removing any rows. If we do.
If you do 3 feet, you are removing 2 rows. There was
Okay.
5. So you
There was
are,
5.
yeah, you are kicking out 2 rows. Now, if you do 6 feet, you're pretty much removing, you only have 1 row in the back. Because you won't have the separation between seats.
This would be a row of 2.
Yeah,
I've been there only a few times, so.
So-
So 2,
so it's 2 up that
2 on
side.
that side, right?
So
Yeah.
think of it this way. Hold on, let me just do a quick drawing. Okay.
Where's that, Chuck?
Okay. So this is the seats. It's a row of 2 and then there's like a row of 10 and a 10 and a 10. So you'd have these rows of 2, okay? And these rows of 10, okay? So with the ramp, we're going to lose
Yeah.
this much. But if we do 2 seats and the ramp, then we pretty much lose all of this. This essentially becomes handicap seating. So if
Yeah.
Casey should come, this is where he would park his wheelchair, especially because there's an outlet there for him to plug in.
Is that, Mayor, is that what's shown on your?
Yes.
Now I
So
also,
on my screen, which we got as part of our packet, this is 2 seats. But Jason is recommending we just do, of course, we need 2 for the clerk side. Just do 1 on the Tenny side, and that will pull the ramp in 3 feet.
remember, more, like the more area that you take, the occupancy level might drop as well when they go in there and they do that. So you might be losing occupancy level as well.
For fire safety.
Yes. So I don't know. Most likely that's gonna happen, but I don't know. So every seat that you remove or every square foot that you change, whether you put a ramp or you put a solid something in there, it might change.
Yeah.
The occupancy level for that, so.
But as you can see right now, we have an occupancy of 0.
Yeah, and that, I'm just bringing up everything, so it's out there for you guys.
And so you also should know, because this hasn't happened in quite a while, I mean, most of my time as mayor, I have not been in the council chambers. I became mayor and then we had COVID, came back from COVID and the building began to fall down, so. But on the rare occasions that we would have a large group, we always had a contingency plan just in case we had to move it to the fire department or something like that. Which becomes somewhat difficult because now we tend to do a hybrid in person and online. Not for us, we have to be here in person, but for the public. So, you know. So I guess what Jason's looking for is some guidance. I would recommend to the council that we do 6 feet on the clerk side, 3 feet on the Tenny side. And we get an option for 6 feet on the Tenny side. And that way you would still have time to decide. And I would recommend that we not go, cheap on this, but we do this for an extra $10,000 or so. I think we do it correctly because it's gonna get a lot of use. And it's gonna, we can price it out and ask them for a concept drawing.
Sounds good.
I agree.
All right, so we have a consensus.
Here we go.
I have one question. It has nothing to do with the dais, but the room. Since we're going in person to set it up for hybrid, I was with IT looking at potential concepts, and the one that makes the most sense is to do a similar setup like here, that to the left, you would have your TV screen and then, have the camera and run the wiring to the laptop. The only thing is,
I can tell you right now, that won't work.
Okay.
The reason is because I've been in those seats. I've been in the two end seats. And the problem is, this is a straight setup, which Jason and I looked at, and we looked at several different configurations. And when you have a straight setup, you can do this. But when you have a U setup, it means whoever the council person is that decides, they're constantly doing one of these things. And it really makes it impossible, which is why I had recommended we do drop from the ceiling
Yeah.
a 63-inch or 75-inch TV, two of them, one that faces the public, one that faces the council, or put one there and one there, like one behind and one on the wall. So, but yeah, you can't, because we've tried that. In fact, we had a
Totally
pull
agree.
down screen right here on the Tenny side. And it always meant during budget meetings that these four seats had to empty out and they had to,
Yeah, I
Okay.
totally agree. The only thing is, how high is the ceiling? I don't know. It's pretty high, right?
yeah,
it's
and
pretty
if,
high,
and maybe.
60.
But it'd be dropped down from it, and it'd be tilted slightly, or it can just be on the two walls, one on the back wall and one on the front wall.
Yeah, I've seen council chambers, one on, like you're saying, front and back, and I've also seen a dead middle one.
Yeah,
That's angled, so the council sees it all the way around, and then the public
That's
sees
what I
it, and they're
think
just
you're-
dead in
you're
the middle.
suggesting.
the only problem with the dead middle one, because we're pushing out, we'll put several members of the council and of the public at a greater than 60-degree angle. And on those LED screens, it becomes distorted.
Right.
So it makes more sense to put against the back wall and the front wall, and we move the seal. Or we move the seal up or down or something like
And just
that.
so you know,
Okay.
But I think you bring the tech guys in and.
Okay, yeah, because like if we did the side wall, it needs electric and data. But the front and back wall, they already has electric there, so they just have to run the data cable.
And yeah, just so you know, the council dais will also have HDMI cables. That'll be to the one, so whatever you're showing up there, I notice all you guys have laptops. You could be able to just plug right there and it'll automatically go right to your screen, so necessarily you don't have to look up here or over here, you'll be able to have it directly in front of you as the person's talking with it, it'll just be a duplicate display.
And you might then say, why do we need screen in the back wall? It's because if we have the public come on or
Yeah.
we had Ezio tonight, we want to be able to
Right.
see him. So that's why they would have to be big. I don't know if that might be 90, but maybe 90 on each, on the front and
Yeah, we
back
can-
because of the distance for
We'll
visualizing.
maximize whatever we can on the wall, I think that's the best way to go.
And that also would that would also occur in July?
That had to occur before because you're gonna run a hybrid up to July. So you're gonna have to get that in there before July, before you guys go back.
Yeah, there's other screens that they have to put in the lobby, so they wanna do it all at the same time. We still have a few weeks.
So we
waiting for
might be able
CO.
to do it when we get back. Which actually leads me to another point. We were talking today, we will not be back in the building for the budget meetings. And I don't know that we're gonna be able to use this facility. Would we then fall under the emergency, be able to do the budget remotely? Because we will not be back in the building for the budget meetings because they're the first and second Saturday in March. And we're looking for what, probably end of March, beginning of April
At the soonest.
at the soonest. So Ann's gonna see if we can get in here, but I don't know if we can get in here because the library simply is not open.
I would want to research that a little bit more.
Okay,
Before I give
absolutely.
you an off the cuff answer.
No. So you're looking into that?
Absolutely.
Can I just ask one thing? If is the department head's gonna have to be in here, if everything, because when I usually do budget meetings, and I know with the other department heads that do budget meetings, they usually do them in their office, so they have all the information just in case something's asked, which a couple of years now, things have been asked, we
Well, I
go,
don't think they have to be in person. We have to be in person.
Correct.
okay, so we could do.
Okay.
But that doesn't even have to be in person or
All right. All right. Okay, really?
Remember when she was ill the other day?
Yeah, but that was a one-time
But
exception.
it's, no, it's, the the VA and the clerk don't have to physically be at the meeting. The council members have to be here so that the public can see them.
Okay. Oh, that's even better news. That
I'm not
works.
getting any more teeth taken.
All right.
But I know though.
So I'll get you guys that information on the dais, rest of it.
Excellent job,
All right.
Jason. Thank you.
Jason.
Thank you.
Jason, why don't you take those extra, no, would you give them to Ann? And Ann, if you can make sure they get to, Lisa and Indira? Okay. Okay, could I have a motion and second to open the public on any item on the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Neil, is there anything you want to, if you do want to ask a question on the agenda, please raise your hand. Well, if he does raise his hand, we'll come back to it. Can I have a motion and second to close the public on any item on the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have monthly reports that are available. Land use, tax collector, environmental protection, and green team, 2 reports from them, January and November. Historic commission and library board for the public upon request. First reading, there will be a change to one of our resolutions, and when we get to that, please remind me. Okay, first reading, a motion that follows. In a moment, could I have a motion that the following ordinance be introduced and passed on the first reading and setting February 27th, 2025 at 7 PM or sooner thereafter, as the matter can be heard, as the time and date in the River Ridge Library as a place in Zoom as a virtual platform for hearing on said ordinances. Now, we have 3 ordinances. We're gonna move all 3 of them at once because this is a first reading, and our BA will explain what we hope to achieve. So it'd be an ordinance 25-04, an ordinance to amend chapter 206 of the revised general ordinance of the Borough of River Edge entitled fees. Ordinance 2505, an ordinance amending the code of the Borough of River Edge to establish chapter 309 entitled public buildings. Ordinance 25-06, an ordinance amending the revised general ordinance of the Borough of River Edge, chapter 79 entitled Department of Recreation and Cultural Affairs. Could I have a motion and second, and then we'll have an explanation and questions.
So,
Second.
All in, oh no, it's been moved and seconded. It is now open for debate, but before debate and inquiry, Madam Business Administrator, would you please explain what we hope to achieve with 04, 05, and 06?
Sure. 25-04, it increases the legal escrow for zoning applications. This had been reviewed and recommended by the Land Use Board. 25-05 establishes areas of restricted access in municipal buildings throughout the borough to protect vital records. And this is an action that is recommended by the Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. And 25-06, it reorganizes the Department of Recreation and Cultural Affairs as the Department of Recreation only. It abolishes the Cultural Affairs Committee, which hasn't been able to meet in over a year due to a lack of a quorum. And it renames the Recreation Commission as a Recreation Committee to be consistent with the authorized duty of the volunteer group.
Questions, inquiry, comments?
Mayor, I will abstain from abstain and recuse myself from ordinance 2506.
Okay, so when we come to the vote, I'll say all those who say yay, you'll say yay, except I will abstain from. Anybody else? Questions or inquiry or comment? All right. This is a first reading, so it will be by acclamation. All in favor, please say aye to 2504, 2505, or 2506. And if you need to abstain, please say at that time. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I need to abstain and recuse.
From which ones?
2506.
Okay,
We're cute.
okay, but you're saying yes for 20 for the rest, so she can stay seated for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, stay seated for that. Okay,
You don't need to, she doesn't need to get up there.
all right, great. So, Ann, are you clear on the vote? Were there any abstentions or nays? There was an abstention, no nays. Very good. Okay, so second reading and hearing on ordinances. Now I'm gonna move both of them to open to the public, but I will move them separately for adoption, okay? The following ordinance published here within are first read by title only on January 23rd, 2025, and posted on the bulletin outside the clerk's office. Ordinance 25-02, an ordinance amending chapter 201 of the revised general ordinance of the Borough of River Edge entitled escrow deposits. Ordinance 25-03, an ordinance to amend chapter 206 of the revised general ordinance of the Borough of River Edge entitled fees. So I need a motion and second to open to the public.
So.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are open to the public. Neil, any questions? Officer Lee, any questions? All right, can I have a motion and second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All right, now, are you staying on the dais for both of those?
So I abstain from 2503 and.
So stay seated. So we're gonna do 2502. Could I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance, I'm sorry, wait. Ms. Apatella, would you please inform the public what we hope to achieve in 2502?
2502, updates chapter 201, to be consistent with the various escrow deposits that exist under the fees chapter, which is chapter 206 of the Borough Code, so for consistency.
Okay, any questions from council? Any debate? All right, could I have a motion and second to adopt ordinance 25-02?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, now, could I have a motion and second to move to adopt 2503?
So moved.
Second.
Could you tell us what we hope to achieve with this?
Yes, 2503 updates all the fees for various recreation programs so that the programs can remain self-sustaining.
Is there debate? Comment? Inquiry? Hearing none? I didn't do a roll call for 2502, did I? Okay, so we're gonna go back to 2502 in a minute. We're gonna do a roll call for 2503.
Councilwoman Mallory.
Yes.
Councilman Benson.
Also, I don't think it goes to the public.
Wait, hold on.
We also have one for the second one, when Freddie steps down, because you only have 3 council members.
2503,
Correct, there's only 3 council members here.
No, before.
I'd make 4,
You don't count, you don't have a vote.
unless there's
Only if there's a tie,
what?
only if there's a tie, you get the vote.
So it would be the doctrine of necessity that she would have to vote.
Oh, I was just about to say that, but I don't have to say it, you can just.
I only play a lawyer on TV.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, roll call. Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Mallory.
Yes.
Councilman Benson.
Yes.
Councilman Glass.
Yes.
So I'm just announced she's refusing, or did she say?
You know, you say her name and then she says, I recuse.
Okay, Councilwoman Dario.
I recuse.
Mayor Popley. Am I wrong?
He doesn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. That she said.
All right,
Okay, consider it.
all right, pretty come back up. So did I get a motion second for 2502? I don't think I did, right?
Yeah, you did.
To adopt.
Yeah.
I did, okay, but I failed to ask for a roll call. Roll call, please. For 2502.
Councilwoman Mallory.
Yes.
Councilman Benson.
Yes.
Councilman Glass.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dario.
Yes.
All right, very good. Resolutions by consent. Now here we're going to have a correction. So if everyone would take a look at 25-76. So this is appointment of an alternate public defender. So we're going to be changing from John Frank. I don't even know how to say that. Yeah, okay, great. To Josh Renitz.
Renitz.
Close enough, yeah. Josh. Okay, so that one will be 25-76 will be as amended. Could I have a motion second to move 2573 through 2581?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there inquiry or debate? Okay, now, Pretty, you're gonna be, so why don't you just wait? I'm gonna ask everyone for a yay and you're gonna say the yay, except I abstain, okay? All in favor, please say yay.
Aye.
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 Good. Are there any abstentions?
For 2582.
So say which ones you would say I
25.
except for,
No,
I-
not this grouping.
not this grouping?
No, there's nothing on the
25.
consent agenda, it's just the bill list.
Ah, okay,
And it's a
Then just-
recusal, not an abstention.
it's a recusal. Okay, very good. So just say aye?
Aye.
All right, so it's unanimous. Okay, could I have, the finance chair is Indira right now?
Yeah.
So you're on the finance, right? So, could I have Councilman Glass, read into the record, payment of the bills 25-82?
Payment of bills at a regular meeting of the mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on February 13th, 2025. Be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge approve the following expenditures. Current fund, $8,088,886.05. General capital fund, $423,999.38. Grant fund, $110,801.25. Animal control, $168. Trust other, $25,794.93. Open space, $6,678.39. Payroll, $19,261.16. Developers escrow, $2,277.50. Recreation trust, $14,340.
So moved.
Well, you say so moved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
And I abstain from.
abstentions or recusals?
I abstain from these check numbers. Check number 65600, 65622, 65631, 65645, 65653, 65662, 65722, 65725, 65735, check 207, check 4363, 4358, 4364, 4377, 4378, 2940, 2942, 1740, and 6001.
All right. Okay, any new business before the body? Any member of council wishes to raise? Old business, meeting format for non-statutory bodies. So we've determined that statutory bodies, and if I get it correct, it's the council, it's assistant budget committee, it's the historic preservation, and it's the environmental commission.
And
Okay.
Board of Health.
And the board of, oh, and the board of health,
And any
Oh,
land use,
okay.
any land use boards
Oh, yeah.
also.
and in land use, so that's 6. So we'll have to make sure that they're aware of that. So those must be in person, once we return to council chambers, so that they have someplace to meet. But now what the council has to decide is what sort of direction or policy will be set for non-statutory bodies, such as,
Green tea.
shade tree, green tree,
Change.
Rec. rec. We,
Traffic and safety.
traffic and safety. I think what the choices are is we could just let them decide what they want to do, which I don't think is necessarily a good idea. That they can be in person or remote. Hybrid becomes problematic because they don't have access to the electronics to make it hybrid, then it becomes problematic. So what say you, the council?
How many committees are non-statutory? 4.
4, rec, shade tree,
Safety.
traffic and safety, green team, but green team.
is with the ETA.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's really just 3. I would recommend that we simply tell them that they can remain remote. And would that be okay?
I think they'll be happy with that.
I wanted to ask Mr. Shedanian a question. With the non-statutory committees, if they don't have a quorum, they can't take any official action, correct?
Correct.
But
Well, it depends if they have bylaws for their committee, but under.
they can meet nevertheless and share information.
Correct.
So I'm thinking that we as a policy direct the non-statutory committees that they should meet whether they have a quorum or not, to at least share information. Because if not, then there have been times where, and beautification is one,
And any,
where they might not meet all year because they never make a quorum. So, as a policy, I think the non-statutory should always meet for whoever is present, share information, because since they're not statutory anyway, sharing information like, when are we gonna go do planting? I don't think that requires a quorum.
Mayor, they don't really have any official power other than by what the council has, the governing body has deemed to them. So because of that, their job is essentially making recommendations to the governing body. They don't really take their own actions.
So they never really have to have a quorum.
Correct.
Even better. Is the council comfortable with that?
You're saying maybe that they should meet in person?
They should always, well, remotely or in person,
Right.
because well, no, we're telling everybody they can meet remotely. They should meet even if they don't have a quorum, because they're a non-statutory committee.
Okay, but they should not in person, just me online, okay.
Yeah,
good, Okay,
even if,
right. I
so that at least information and action, not action, but organization take place. Is everybody good with that? All right. Any other old business? Could I have a motion second to open the public on for any comment at all?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Officer Lee? No?
No question.
No question. Neil, any questions? Give Neil a moment, just in case he wants to. You gotta raise your hand if that's what you're interested in. All right, well, I think not then. Could I have a motion second to close to the public?
So
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, any council comments? So our fire department has been doing a phenomenal job. They recently helped out in a fire outside of town. The mayor of that town, who's I'm blanking on right now, I was at a meeting on Saturday and she wanted to go out of her way to thank me on behalf of her town, for our town, for the great job that our fire department did. With the apartment fire, I think 27 people lost their homes, sadly. We just had an incident earlier today in Pagoda, yeah. And we had one in River Edge where there was an electrical fire. It shut down Kincomac for a little while and they lost power to the building. It was in the north part of town where Delford Forest and State Farm is. And they've been doing phenomenal training. I was with them at hopefully I'll say it right, Rosenberg Yeshiva, North Jersey. Training that they had invited Hackensack and New Milford and Ordell, maybe Paramus, and went over that very large complex so that they could familiarize themselves if there was ever a need. So they're doing a phenomenal job and we are really very, very grateful. And the police department also in working hand in glove with the fire department, and the fire department working hand in glove with the police department. Danielle Feedy, yes, the mayor of Pagoda, Danielle Feedy. She was wanting to thank River Edge and its fire department for their assist. So I wanted to add those two things. Anyone else? All right, could I have a motion second to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.